YouTube, how's it going? Frogs Angels is back with some more NFL draft contents. This NFL supplemental draft is coming up on Wednesday, and it's actually worth talking about. Three players I expect to get drafted in this year's supplemental draft. We're going to go over each of the three players. All happen to be defensive backs. Which teams, I got a bunch of teams on the board that could take them. Then I'm going to narrow it down and actually give you a mock draft who I actually think will take them. It's very hard to tell. Kind of up in the air, and then I'll have other teams that will strongly consider the three players or should. So before we get into breaking down these players, our subscriber goal is 10,000 subscribers. So if you haven't clicked that button yet, please help us out. But let's get on to Sam Beal, Western Michigan corner. I expect him to go in rounds 2 or 3 of the supplemental draft. I'm starting to like this kid more and more after watching Darius Phillips, who got drafted to the Bengals last year. I think everybody was really looking forward to Sam Beal, but we didn't know if he would be a next year's draft or a supplemental draft. Now we get him here. Darius Phillips, the other corner, got more of the interceptions, mainly because he was targeted more. Sam Beal was more of a feared corner. A lot of pass deflection when he was targeted, though. So we got plenty of teams on the board here, plenty of teams. A big difference between some of these teams, though. Most of them I consider teams that could use a corner. The Bengals are a team on here that I don't think really need a corner. Like I said, they drafted Darius Phillips, his teammate. The reason I put him on here is because they like Darius Phillips, so they'll like this guy. They did a lot of homework on Phillips, so they did a lot of homework on Sam Beal. That's usually how it works. I'm not saying they will take him, but it's a team to watch out for. I think they're pretty set for future corners. They got a lot of young guys in there, so they don't really need him. So we'll see. Obviously, if you use, we'll say, second-round pick on a guy like Sam Beal, you do not have one in the upcoming draft. They take it away. Makes sense. But a lot of teams up here, I mentioned there's a difference between some of the teams. Some of the teams are needing cornerback depth. First one, top left, Chicago Bears. Don't think they need a starter. They could use one of the future in Sam Beal. The Panthers drafted pretty well, which they desperately needed to, so they can add another one to their young collection of corners. The Browns, I think if they bring in Sam Beal, I think he can compete for a starting job. There's some teams like the Browns. There's some teams like I said, the Bears mainly need depth at corner. So for a guy like Sam Beal, where you have to give up a second or a third rounder on him, I would look out for the younger teams that need a guy that can compete for the corner starting job. So I do like Sam Beal a lot. Very athletic, pass deflection machine. I prefer the consistent pass deflections over if a guy gets 6 interceptions one year, then like 1 the next. I prefer the pass deflections. I prefer the feared corner, the lockdown corner. 6'1", got good size, very athletic. Like I said, I'm starting to like him more and more. So all these teams look out for. Eventually, I'll give you a mock who I think he'll go to, and other teams that are very likely out of these teams. So let's go on to the next guy, Adonis Alexander, another corner. Like I said, all three of these guys are defensive backs. Another corner out of Virginia Tech. I see rounds 3 through 5. Pretty big range. It is a supplemental draft, so you could drop them around maybe from what their talents are. So that's why I say you could go down to 5. Marijuana charges in the past, not an issue anymore because obviously they go through some kind of physical, and he's cleared as of now. 6'2", long corner, runs into 4.5s, which to me is still very good. That's fast for a big size corner. The thing with him is, why is Sam Beal better? Adonis Alexander maybe 2 years ago was on my radar as a future first, most likely second round corner, but kind of declined a little bit over the years, but still very good play. Virginia Tech had a ton of corners that played very well, so they didn't really need him out there at all times, but he was probably one of their better ones, and for NFL prototype corners, he was definitely their better one. So as you can see, similar teams on the board here that are in need of a starting corner, a corner that can come in there and compete for a job, or a corner that will make the team and be depth. So what round do you use in a supplemental draft for depth? That is the question. But again, I do like Adonis Alexander. Maybe 2 years ago, the idea of Adonis Alexander 2 years ago, maybe I liked better than Sam Beal right now, but we take them both right now. Sam Beal, safer pick, better pick, a lot of upside, but so does Adonis Alexander. He'll go to a team that isn't worried about his off-the-field issues, which right now it looks clear, and they'll love his upside. A team that's going to love upside, like working with corners. So a team that's in a rebuild process, or a team that has a good defensive mind, minded coach, maybe a defensive back guru team, there's no doubt they can develop him because he has the size, he has the tools basically. So it's one of those types of players. Range is 3 to 5. Again, once we go over this last player, I'll narrow it down. We'll get a mock which team he'll go to and the other teams to look out for. But on to the safety, Brandon Bryant. People are sleeping on him in the supplemental draft. I mean, they're talking about him like he'll most likely get drafted, but could be a priority free agent. I say around 6 to 7, and I would even think about him in the 5th. There's really not a ton. Like, we go to a draft, there's plenty of corners, pretty much every draft. And safeties, there's never as many safeties as there are corners. So I think Brandon Bryant in a normal safety class would be valued higher than around 6 through 7. That's where I think he goes, though. Some teams up here, I think, could use a guy that can compete for the starting safety job. If you bring a guy like this in and you draft him in round maybe 7, he's probably not going to compete for the starting job, but he was good to have. Big hitting safety, great play recognition, very athletic. There's really nothing bad about his game. I mean, could work on the deep balls a little bit, not letting anybody behind him, but I'm not really worried about any of that. So, again, here's some teams up here. There's more teams. I'll get into the teams that I really look out for in a little bit here. But Brandon Bryant, I think people are sleeping on a little bit. People talking about priority free agent. I think he'll get drafted. I don't know. It's pretty wild to see 3 guys get drafted. We normally see none, maybe 1. I see 3 guys. They all happen to be defensive backs. We see how important cornerback is in today's NFL. And safeties, like I said, there's some teams really running out of safety help. So let's go on to the mock. I have the Browns taking Sam Beal in round 2. The Browns have made it pretty clear they're very interested in Sam Beal. I know 32 teams showed up to his pro day for the supplemental draft. Other teams to watch out for. The Chiefs are desperate for a corner, I think. Well, not too desperate. They didn't use a draft pick on him, which I guess a lot of people were surprised on. The Colts, the Texans, the Seahawks, the Patriots, I think will all like Sam Beal because they need him. And I think those are teams that will be very interested in him. We see some similarities in the teams here. We'll circle back to Sam Beal in a second. Round 4, the Chiefs, I have taking Adonis Alexander, the cornerback from Virginia Tech. Like I said, we expected the Chiefs to take a corner in the actual draft. They did not take one, and they grab one here. And there's 2 solid ones you can get. They missed on Sam Beal. Obviously, the teams with the records are on the bad side. Basically, it's not the same exact order as what the draft was this past draft, but you got an idea what it will be. So the Browns get the first selection there over a team like the Chiefs. So they'll grab Sam Beal. I think the Chiefs are a team that can take Adonis Alexander. I look out for the Colts, the Texans, the Browns, and the Seahawks. The Patriots, I think, would be more in the market for Sam Beal over Adonis Alexander, but who knows? And then round 6, the Seahawks taking Brandon Bryant. Again, I think a guy that I would be okay with taking in round 5, the safety from Mississippi State. He's a Seahawks type of guy, and I think he's a good replacement for Cam Chancellor. Maybe he doesn't come in and play right away. I'm not saying that. I think he's a Seahawks guy. I do like the Texans, the Bucks, and the Panthers as well, so I'd look out for those 3 teams. I really like the Texans for him too. So, again, I would really look out for that team. But circling back to Sam Beal, really not him, really all the guys. But round 2, you may say, that's pretty early for a supplemental draft. I don't want to give up a round 2 pick in the next draft. But the way I look at it, the Browns will be picking for, we'll use the Patriots as an example, or the Chiefs and the Patriots, who will have a later second-round supplemental pick. So the Browns will be like, or maybe you as a fan will be like, I feel more comfortable in the 3rd round. But we go down to the end of the 2nd round, Patriots and Chiefs, teams like those will be like, we cannot wait another round. We have to grab them here. So that forces a team like the Browns to use a 2nd-round pick on him or give up their 2019 NFL draft 2nd-round pick as an example. So they may have to take him a little earlier than maybe you're comfortable with them for that reason, because I think I can see a team, if he's sitting there at the end of the 2nd round for a team like the Patriots, I don't know if they would hesitate to take him. I think they would take him. That's just my opinion. This is much harder to predict than a regular mock draft for a regular NFL draft, I'm saying. So same thing with Adonis Alexander. Maybe he goes in round 3 for the same reason. A good team picking a little later. Out of those teams I have, the Chiefs as a later pick. I think maybe the other teams will be more comfortable with him in the 5th just because of off-the-field issues are more concerning than the others. So we'll see. We'll see. Adonis Alexander, another thing, is kind of declining, but still playing good. That's a kind of a bad thing. You kind of want to see the guys get better and better. The guys that are successful in the NFL happen to be guys that got better. They never stayed the same, never declined. But it may have something to do with his off-the-field issues and the other talent at defensive back and really defense in general for Virginia Tech's been very good. So I'm not really worried about it, but it is something to look at, consider. So maybe more of a round 5 guy. And again, Bryant. I like a lot. The only safety worth drafting in the supplemental draft. I really like him on the Seahawks. Again, the Texans, I really like too. So. And then for the other corners, the Browns, the Chiefs, and the Colts are really the main teams I'm looking for. But the other teams I have there are possibilities. A team maybe not on this list at all could grab one of these guys. Sam Beal has ridiculous upside, and I think other people are on the same page with me there. So it's definitely a guy to look out for. Supplemental draft, obviously we'll find out on Twitter who gets who. We will see. We will see. Let me know if you're a fan of a team, if you want your team to forfeit a future pick on a guy because you like him a lot. Let me know. Let me know what you think. There's other guys that could get drafted in the supplemental draft, but I don't think so. I'm really looking at these 3 guys. Sam Beal's for sure going to go. I almost want to guarantee the 2, Sam Beal and Adonis Alexander, because Alexander's upside, but the off-the-field issues could drop him. We see them drop in a regular draft because of it, but obviously passed the physical recently. Brandon Bryant should be a guarantee, but really isn't. So let me know what you guys' thoughts are if you want your team to grab a guy. I know the Chiefs fans were a little disappointed that their team didn't grab a corner in the draft earlier than they wanted to, but we'll see if they grab one here. I know I've heard that the Browns are very, very interested in Sam Beal, but 32 teams were at his pro day, so we'll see. But that'll do it for the supplemental mock draft. Didn't think we'll ever be doing one of those, but a solid one this year. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for our other sports content. Plenty of it on the channel. Plenty more to come. Subscribe if you haven't already, but that'll do it for this one. Goodbye.